Welcome to the Colorado Homes and Living YouTube channel. I'm Kelly Nate,
And I'm Jill Jackson.
and we are local realtors to the Denver metro area, and we are here to give you all the ins and outs of Colorado and the real estate market. Whether you are looking to buy in 10 days, 10 weeks, or 10 months, it's never too soon to reach out with any questions. So, on today's topic, we are going to be discussing
Mistakes to avoid as a buyer.
and first up with the number one, Jill, what do you got?
So, the first mistake that we often see with buyers that you definitely want to avoid is not getting pre approved before you go out and start touring a bunch of homes. 9 times out of 10, when you do this, chances are you're going to start looking at properties that might be out of the budget. And the last thing you want to do is look at a home, fall in love with it, then go do your financing and find out that you can't truly afford it. So, in an effort to avoid all of that, definitely get pre approved before you start touring too many homes.
So, along with that, once you do finally get pre approved, you will be given a pre approval by your lender, and you want to make sure that you are shopping within your monthly payment, but you are including things like your property taxes, your HOA, and your homeowner's insurance. It's not always a definitive payment because those things can differ from property to property, but your lender can do a really good job of giving estimates based on the area that you're looking in so that they can give you an all inclusive payment.
And just keep in mind too, because it's very easy for people to get online and go to Zillow and do the Zillow Zestimate and the other websites out there to calculate a mortgage payment. Just know that is probably going to give you a ballpark range. That is definitely not going to be the correct monthly payment. So make sure you do have that conversation with your lender and don't go based off what the internet is saying.
Exactly. The internet often does not account for correct HOAs, property taxes, and homeowners insurance, but you should notice that most of the time the default is actually assuming that you're putting 20% down, which leads us into our next tip.
The next tip is don't assume that you actually have to put 20% down. There are several programs out there that allow for 3 to 5% down payments. I think a lot of buyers often talk themselves out of purchasing a home because they think that they don't have enough down payment, when in all reality, there are grants that are available. And then there are programs out there that allow a much lower down payment, which is that 3 to 5% range.
And don't forget about those first time homebuyer programs where you can get in for as little as 1,000 or in some cases nothing at all. So, along with your down payment, you want to be very cautious of how much money you're going to be contributing to that down payment. Whatever you do not want to drain all of your savings into your down payment because you want to make sure you have a nice reserve for any repairs that may come up. Think about, in best case scenario, you should have 6 months of reserves. That includes like your mortgage payment and any surprises that could have come along in the next 6 months.
So the next mistake you want to avoid is switching jobs in the middle of a transaction. So once you go under contract, if you happen to get another job opportunity and you're looking to jump ship, definitely have a conversation with your lender first. Switching jobs could definitely jeopardize you qualifying for the loan or the loan qualification amount.
Yeah, so also consider if you plan on going on maternity or paternity leave when the closing of your home is supposed to happen, because there is an income verification that will happen towards your closing date. And if your income has changed to like that 60% that some employers give you when you go on leave, then that can also jeopardize your closing as well. You also do not want to be opening any new credit cards. You don't want to be going and buying any new vehicles as you approach moving and maybe attempting to go and finance like furniture or things like that because maybe you're getting a bigger home and you want to change some of that. But all of those things can affect your approval and the eligibility to close on your loan.
If you want to open up any credit cards, buy a new car, or finance furniture, just wait until after the closing date. Another mistake that you want to avoid is overlooking closing costs. We often talk a lot about down payment, but down payment and closing costs are not the same. So you have your down payment, and that is a percentage of the purchase price. And your closing costs are going to be like lender fees, title fees, property insurance, your escrow account, etc. So definitely plan closing costs on top of your down payment. And your closing costs can range anywhere from 2 to 3% of the purchase price.
Moving along, we want to make sure that you do not skip an inspection. Another topic we have covered many times, but it is very important that you do a full property inspection along with any additional add-ons to best protect your investment.
Another mistake you want to avoid is not thoroughly going through all of the due diligent documents that you receive while you're under contract. For example, like HOA documents. A lot of times people buy properties, there's HOA restrictions, rules and regulations. And, after you buy the property, you're thinking you're going to rent it out or Airbnb it, then to find out that you're unable to do that per the rules and regulations of the HOAs. So just make sure that you are thoroughly reading through all of your due diligent documents, and that way there are no surprises down the road.
And as a reminder, it is not our job to read those due diligence documents and determine what is acceptable for you to live in and live without. We can help you interpret some of the documents, but we can't make the decision for you. And it is still your job to investigate. We cannot investigate on your behalf. You also want to be very careful that you are not just falling in love with the home, but you are falling in love with the number, because we never want to put you in a situation where you are house poor. And just because you love the home, but it's not financially the best decision for you, we don't wanna see that happen to you.
And 9 times out of 10, a lender will often pre-approve you for more than you truly can afford. You remember they do pre-approve you based on the taxes that you don't receive that you pay into the IRS. So just keep that in mind. Another mistake that you want to avoid is sitting on the sidelines for months and months and months waiting for home prices to drop. Nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody can predict the future. Sure, prices can drop, but prices can also raise as well. So if you are looking to purchase a home, I would say work on your pre-approval, get out there and start shopping for a house. There is no reason to wait in hopes that something's going to happen when nobody can truly predict the future and what is to happen with the home values.
And we see it all the time, probably now more than ever, but there are people that are kicking themselves every year that they did not buy a house last year. They were waiting for prices to drop, and maybe they did a little bit, but not enough that it was a benefit to them by continuing to rent for the last year.
And maybe the prices did drop, but then guess what? The interest rates went up. So ultimately, it didn't really save you. It
If
didn't.
anything, it costs you more.
Exactly.
When you are shopping for a home, you want to make sure that you are considering your commute. If you are not from here, those are things that you really need to investigate when you decide where you would like to purchase a home. But as you may know, sometimes in the winter, your 20 to 30-minute commute is all of a sudden an hour. And if your family work life balance is really important to you, you don't want to be cutting all of that time into your day just driving back and forth to work.
Another mistake you want to avoid is not factoring in future resale. So, when you purchase a property, there's a lot of things to take into consideration and what people find attractive. But the location of a home, is it backing up to a highway? Is the house right in front of a school? The layout of the home, is there something really funky with the layout? So, these are things to keep in mind that even though this is going to be a temporary home and it's not a problem for you now, it could become an issue when you put the house on the market for future buyers, because those buyers may not like that specific layout. They may not like the location of the home. Maybe there's too much traffic noise in the background. So definitely keep these things in mind when you're purchasing.
And sometimes you purchase based on things that do not bother you, but as a whole, we can kind of advise you and say this is going to be a problem in the future. And so if it doesn't bother you, that's fine, but you need to consider that when you're going to sell your house, that it could be a problem for somebody else. We also want to make sure that if you are looking at homes, you have an agent on your side that is going with you. I know a lot of the times when you're first starting, it's very tempted to just look on places like Zillow or Realtor.com and you just schedule a tour online. A lot of people think that you are connecting with the listing agent, but you are in fact not. So not only is it not the listing agent on the property, you are also getting paired with somebody who is paying into those services in order to capture your information and become your agent. And you really want to be interviewing that agent before you ever meet them at a home.
And the last mistake you want to avoid is not asking enough questions. There are never any dumb questions, just expensive surprises. So make sure that you ask all the questions that are necessary and you feel confident with your decisions and you've done enough due diligence to want to move forward with purchasing the home. So definitely take the time to sit down with your agent, write down all the questions you have, because and don't think you have to have all the questions right away. Like, there'll be things that will happen that will trigger questions along the way. So just ask questions. We're here to help and we want to provide you with as much information as necessary necessary so you can make the best decision possible for you, your family, your lifestyle, etc.
And I guarantee you somebody's already asked us that question before. So again, there is no dumb question. We're here to answer any and all questions you have. So as a added bonus and an honorable mention, I want to express that it's really important. People tend to get very caught up in the price negotiation. So say you have a $600,000 house. Everyone's always looking for a deal. And so maybe they want $10,000 off of the purchase price, but that $10,000 is much more useful to you if you decide to ask for a seller concession to buy your rate down. If you continue with the $590,000 price in that scenario, you are only saving.
Maybe $50 a month on your mortgage payment. Rule of thumb for every $5,000 is roughly about $25 on your monthly payment.
However, if you use that same number of 600,000 and ask for a $10,000 concession to buy your rate down, that could save you $175 a month, which is much better for you in the long run if you decided to utilize your finances that way. That $10,000 price reduction only saves you maybe $20,000 for the life of the loan. If you take that same $10,000 and apply it towards a rate reduction, that can save you over $63,000 for the life of the loan. Now, you do want to make sure that you're staying in the home long enough or not refinancing so that you can utilize those funds, but you don't have to keep the mortgage for a full 30 years to see that benefit.
Well, that about wraps it up for today. Thanks for tuning in to Colorado Homes and Living YouTube channel. I'm Jill Jackson.
And I'm Kelly Mates.
If you find this content useful, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Our phone number and website are also linked below. And feel free to reach out to us anytime if you have any questions. Until next time, take care.